Chapter 1: The Abyssal Challenge. In the inky depths of the Mariana Trench, where sunlight dared not penetrate, the abyss held secrets darker than the waters that cradled them. It was here, amidst the crushing pressure and eternal silence, that the Abyssal Challenge was whispered among the bravest, or most foolish, of marine biologists and treasure hunters. The challenge was a mind game of mythical proportions, a dare to seek out the impossible, to prove the existence of a creature long thought extinct, the Megalodon. Dr. Elara Matisse, a marine biologist with a penchant for the enigmatic, sat aboard the research vessel, Nereus's Whisper, her eyes fixed on the sonar screen that painted a picture of the world below. The crew around her shared a tense excitement, a cocktail of fear and anticipation that was as intoxicating as it was dangerous. They had all heard the stories, the accounts of ships lost to gargantuan shadows and survivors babbling about teeth the size of dinner plates. The mission was simple in theory, yet daunting in practice: descend into the trench, collect evidence, and return to the surface with answers. But as the Submersible, aptly named Leviathan's descent, was prepared for its journey into the abyss, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that they were not the hunters on this expedition, but rather the hunted. As the Submersible began its descent, the crew inside felt the weight of the ocean pressing in on them. The darkness outside was absolute, a void that seemed to consume light itself. Elara's heart raced as she considered the possibility that they were not alone in this underwater wasteland. The sonar pinged rhythmically, a beacon in the void, until a shape began to emerge on the screen, a shape far too large to be any known creature. The crew of Leviathan's descent watched in horror and fascination as the outline became clearer, the sonar revealing the unmistakable profile of a massive shark, its size dwarfing their vessel. The Megalodon, the prehistoric predator of nightmares, was no longer a myth. It was there, outside their fragile human-made shell, a Leviathan from the deep past, alive and well in the present. Panic set in as the Submersible's lights flickered, an electrical anomaly, or perhaps a warning from the depths. Elara's mind raced with the implications of their discovery. The Megalodon's existence would rewrite history, but only if they survived to tell the tale. The mind game had become a horrific reality, and the Abyssal Challenge was no longer a mere search for truth. It was a fight for survival in the domain of a monster that time had forgotten. Chapter 2: The Mind's Maw. The abyssal waters around Leviathan's descent grew still, as if the ocean itself held its breath. The crew's eyes were glued to the sonar, the blip that represented the Megalodon pulsing like a sinister heartbeat. Dr. Elara Matisse's mind reeled with both scientific curiosity and primal fear. The creature outside was a relic, a ghost from the depths of prehistory, and it was terrifyingly real. The Submersible's pilot, Captain Jonah Briggs, a seasoned veteran of the deep, clenched the controls with white-knuckled intensity. "We need to move," he growled, his voice barely above a whisper. "That thing out there, it's curious." Elara nodded, her thoughts a whirlwind. The Megalodon's presence was a discovery of monumental significance, but the risk of becoming its prey was too great. "Take us up, slowly," she instructed, her voice steady despite the fear that clawed at her insides. As the Submersible began its cautious ascent, the crew felt the oppressive presence of the Megalodon looming over them. The sonar showed the creature mirroring their movements, a shadowy escort in the abyss. The mind game had shifted, the rules rewritten. They were no longer players, but pawns in a game of survival orchestrated by an ancient intelligence. The lights of Leviathan's descent flickered again, more violently this time, and the Submersible shuddered. A low, resonant vibration hummed through the hull, a sound that seemed to come from the very maw of the Megalodon. It was a sound that spoke of hunger, of a predatory mind that had evolved over millions of years to become the perfect hunter. Elara's thoughts raced as she considered their options. The Megalodon was toying with them, its actions a calculated psychological assault. The creature was not just a mindless eating machine, it was a master of the mind game, using fear as a weapon to paralyze its prey. "We can't outrun it," Captain Briggs said, his voice grim. "We need a distraction." Elara's eyes widened as an idea took shape. "The bait," she said quickly. "We still have the experimental shark attractant. Release it and send it away from us." The crew sprang into action, deploying the canister of potent chemicals designed to mimic the scent of a wounded whale. As the canister drifted into the darkness, the Megalodon's attention shifted, its massive form turning away from the submersible to follow the tantalizing scent. The gamble paid off. The Megalodon pursued the false trail, giving Leviathan's descent a chance to escape. The crew exhaled in collective relief, but the victory was short-lived. The mind game was not over. The Megalodon was a creature of the abyss, and the abyss did not relinquish its secrets easily. As they ascended, Elara's mind was a whirlpool of emotions. They had survived, but the experience had changed them. The Megalodon was more than a myth. It was a testament to the unknown horrors that lurked in the unexplored corners of the world. The mind's maw had opened, and they had glimpsed the darkness within. The surface drew nearer, the pressure easing, the darkness giving way to the faintest hint of light. But the shadow of the Megalodon lingered, a reminder that the mind game was far from over. The abyssal challenge had been met, but the story of their encounter with the prehistoric predator was just beginning. The world would have to face the reality that the Megalodon still existed, and with it, the terrifying truth that humanity was not the master of the oceans, but merely guests in the domain of ancient and unfathomable creatures. The surface world greeted Leviathan's descent with a palette of oranges and blues as dawn broke over the horizon. The crew, weary yet exhilarated, emerged from their steel cocoon, squinting against the light that signified their return to the known world. Dr. Elara Matisse stood on the deck, the salt air filling her lungs, a stark contrast to the recycled atmosphere of the deep. They had done it. They had faced the abyss and returned with the knowledge that would send ripples through the scientific community. The Megalodon, that monstrous specter from the depths, had been more than a myth. It had been a reality. But in their escape, the crew had ensured that the creature remained a mystery, its existence a tantalizing secret veiled by the ocean's vastness. The evidence they carried with them was groundbreaking, yet it was not proof enough to shatter the delicate balance of the marine ecosystem. The world was not ready for the Megalodon, and perhaps it never would be. Elara knew that their findings would ignite debates and fuel expeditions, but the true endgame was preservation. The Megalodon had survived in the abyss for millions of years, unseen and undisturbed, and it deserved to continue its ancient lineage free from the threat of human curiosity and exploitation. As the research vessel charted its course back to civilization, the crew of Leviathan's descent made a silent pact. They would share their story, but the exact location of their encounter would remain their secret, a safeguard for the Leviathan of the deep. The abyssal challenge had been more than a test of courage. It had been a lesson in humility and respect for the untamed frontiers of our planet. The Megalodon would continue to roam the depths, a legend preserved in the hearts of those who had looked into the mind's maw and lived to tell the tale. And as the sun climbed higher, casting its golden light upon the waves, Leviathan's descent sailed home, its crew forever bound by the knowledge that some myths are best left undisturbed, lurking in the shadows of the vast and mysterious ocean.